back. It is Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and do a topic video. Now, I do these every once in a while when there is something I want to talk about in the action figure community or just things that have come into my mind. Now, the inspiration for this one is going to be there's been a couple of times where I have gotten some very interesting comments down in the underground, down below in the comment section. And I've always wanted to pick out a comment and then make a little topic video about, you know, what they asked me or what the comment talks about. Originally, I wanted to do one where someone asked me or someone, stated in a comment that, oh, you also collect Spawn from McFarlane. So now I know why you never want McFarlane to lose the DC license. And that's why you're a big, DC, McFarlane DC Multiverse lover. And there is a bit of truth in that, not completely, because of course I am a McFarlane fan since, back in the day from the original Spawn statue toys and stuff like that. I have a lot of those older McFarlane statues and figures. And it just happened to be that I was a big DC action figure collector at the same time. And when McFarlane just happened to attain the DC license, it just, came together. And I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I do enjoy a lot of McFarlane's work. And for him to do the DC action figures would be pretty interesting. That was my initial response. I never knew how it was going to turn out. I didn't, imagine where we would be at right now. Right now, we are looking at we're heading into that 500 action figure mark from McFarlane. Probably more than that. I have, lost track over time, but we have definitely gone deep into the line. And it isn't necessarily that I want McFarlane to hold on to the DC line forever. That's, the license. That's not really what it is. I want him to have a good run. I want him to make as many vehicles and different deep dives into characters that he can, while at the same time giving us some of the more sought after main characters like Superman and Batman, as well as giving us a lot of obscure characters that we never thought we would see in action figure form. But that doesn't mean that I think he's going to have the license forever. I know, it is inevitable. One day he will lose the license. Who knows what's going to happen? Nobody could tell the future. But I am open to another company's interpretation of the DC universe. If that's NECA, if that's one that's, people are talking about right now, which is Jada, if that's, even Hasbro, I would really be interested to see how that would play out. Now, I'm not going to right now give in 100% to that I'm going to start collecting that line. The only reason that is because, of course, I want to first see the figures. I want to see how they look, the scale. Right now, I am really enjoying the 7-inch scale. I don't know what it is, maybe because, I have big meat hooks, but the 7-inch scale for me gives you that perfect size where you could get a lot of really intricate detail and texture, and the articulation is pretty good. Now, for posing and displaying, they are some awesome figures. I just don't ever feel like I would want to regress and go back to 6-inch. I collected all of the DC Universe Classics line, which of course was 6-inch scale. And now that we've moved up to 7-inch scale, I really think it would be a downgrade to move back to 6-inch. But in all honesty, I would definitely look into it, look at the figures, and if they seem like something, if they're like the ultimate posable and designed figures, pretty much, the ultimate DC action figure line, then of course I would jump in, head first to start collecting that line. Another thing, of course, would be room. I'm as it is, my office is getting pretty tight. Now, I do have plans in the next coming year that I will be moving into a larger place, and that may dedicate, a larger room to my collection, uh, giving myself a bigger office to use. But for right now, only time will tell. So when that guy commented that, I went back to look for his comment, and for some reason, it was gone from the comment section. So that kind of, killed it a little bit. I was like, well, I don't have the comment anymore to use. So I'll just move on. And maybe one day I will start doing little topic videos about comments that people make, questions, interesting things that a lot of you guys and even a lot of people that don't agree with me on everything about action figures, sometimes they do bring up some very interesting points. Now, that brings us into what this will be about. And that, of course, is going to be my recent versus video, which was, of course, the Mafex Bane going up against the McFarlane Nightfall Bane. Now, for me, that was a pretty difficult video to make. It did take me a couple of hours to do all of the editing and filming it and everything. Really took a long time. That's basically why it took me a good amount of time to get it, loaded up. But I was pretty happy with the end results. I did rush a little bit. I had never had a Mafex figure in my hand, so I was going into uncharted territory. But it was something new, something I had never done before, which is always exciting. Now, I did want to point out some things that I got wrong. First off, with the Mafex figure, I thought that the upper singlet part of his costume on the upper body was not sculpted in, that they just, painted it in. Now, a lot of people commented that no, it is actually sculpted in, so I had to look again. The reason I thought that is because I felt it and I didn't feel any sculpt line, but the closer I looked, yes, it is sculpted in. And Mafex is pretty much known for adding as much sculpted detail as they can. So that is definitely a positive for them. Now, saying that, I'm not ashamed to say I was wrong about that. That's fine. My boy Votten did tell me that those, I called them swimming hands or karate chopping hands. He said that they were probably meant for, throwing a pimp slap or something like that, which I thought was pretty hilarious. So I am open to a lot of, constructive criticism or whatever you guys want to say. It's always just to keep the conversation going. Now, the topic about this video, the comment about this video, you could find it in the comment section of that versus video. Now, first off, I had one guy comment, and basically he was talking about the price that I put on this figure. I did get this from Big Bad Toy Store, and it did cost me $134. Now, he wanted to make the point that these figures are really retailing for around 70, and that the only reason I paid 134 was because I got it from Big Bad Toy Store. Now, one thing I do want to say is that I didn't just go to Big Bad Toy Store and that was the first place that I found and that's where I bought it from. I did, do my homework and I investigated where I could get it cheaper. And basically at the time when I acquired this, that was the basic price that was going around. 130, 140, even 150. So no, I didn't just buy it because it was from Big Bad Toy Store and that's the only place I knew. I bought it from there because I did look for a cheaper price and there was none to be found. Now, he did also state that if you buy these figures in Japan, they're only $70, which is pretty funny because I'm not in Japan. I am in big old Texas. And aside from being able to order it from an Asian country or overseas, there is a couple of negatives about that, and that is that I really wanted the figure, in a couple of days and a couple of weeks, and you're looking at least 30 days, even 2 to 3 months if you order overseas. Now, you can combat this by paying more for shipping, where they could bring it in a faster way, maybe air freight. But that kind of negates the whole trying to save money because it bumps up the price back to over $100. Now, there is certain things that you could do, like you can wait for this figure. A lot of Mafex figures eventually go on sale in different websites. So in the future, you can get them for 50, 60, $70. But of course, this will be months from when the time you originally wanted the figure. So that's another thing I was not going to wait on. And he's like, oh, if you waited, you could get it on sale for $50. Yeah. But if I but usually if you wait on the McFarlane figures, you can also get them on sale. So let's say eventually the Nightfall 2 pack goes down to 40, $50. Well, I could have waited and got it for cheaper, but the whole point is that I wanted it now. I wanted it to add to my collection. I wanted to review it for my channel. And although I am not monetized, I do try and stay pretty relevant. I try to make videos that people want to see, that people are interested in. So, of course, I had to pick up the Nightfall 2 pack as soon as I could. Now, another thing that could happen is that instead of going down in price, this Mafex Bane and even the McFarlane Bane could eventually, go out of stock and go up in price. So instead of getting it for the 70 or the 130, I'll end up paying more because I waited so long. So that's just the game that we play of when you want to, pull the trigger on a figure. And I'm not playing games here. I am a capitalist. I do believe in the open market. And if a lot of the online stores are, basically selling the Mafex Bane for above $100, then that is what I am willing to pay because I live in the US market. It does not bother me. The money definitely was not an issue. Now, here's where we get into the comment and some negative stuff. And basically, one guy came in and said that, oh, you buy 5 or 10 McFarlane figures instead of buying one perfect Mafex figure. And that's because you're dumb or because you're broke. Well, that doesn't really make sense. Because if I buy 5 McFarlane figures, then I am spending $120, $130, and that's what I could pay to buy a Mafex figure. But I do not collect Mafex. And that gets us into the other part of the conversation, and that is that I specifically said in my video at the end, if you collect McFarlane DC Multiverse, if you collect Mafex, if you collect G.I. Joe, if you collect Star Wars, you should not be ashamed or be belittled by people that collect a different line than you do. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to degrade people because of what they collect. That is what they collect, that is what they enjoy, and that is their given right. They have the freedom to spend their money any way they want. And that's collecting Funkos, collecting Legos, collecting WWE figures. I will never talk bad about anybody that collects what they love down in their heart and they love their collection. So right away when he got into like, oh, because you're broke or you like cheap figures, you don't like well-made figures, it doesn't have anything to do with that. There's different reasons why I don't collect Mafex. I collect retail figures. I've been doing it for years. It doesn't have anything to do with McFarlane. I've been doing it since the original line that I would buy at Kmart was that Legends of the Dark Knight, which was like a crazy dark version of Batman and all of the villains. And that's the original line that I would buy at stores. And it just went on from there. So I've always been a retail collector. That's just what I do. If you collect Mafex and I only collect Mafex and high end figures, SH figure arts or Mezco, that's good for you. That's awesome for you. Go ahead. I have nothing to say about that because that's your decision, that's your money. So I don't really understand when people try to put down other collectors. It's just something I'll never get, but that's fine. You know, you have the right to comment and do whatever you want. But one thing the guy didn't talk about was the negative points that I made on the figure was the big bobblehead, the ball shoulders, the big clown shoes, all things that I didn't like about this figure. And I paid my money for this figure so I could say whatever I want. Now, do I think McFarlane's Bane is perfect? A 10 out of 10? It's a 8, 9 out of 10, so it's up there. I didn't like the waist articulation. I love the out there nightmarish design, but that's just my thing. He even said that, well, I never articulated it, or I did articulate it. I showed you that the double jointed elbows that are pinless didn't give you a full bend at the elbow, and the knees didn't give you a full bend at the knees. So they are not truly double jointed. And that's just an observation that I made. Now, I did hear that the shoulders, you can manipulate them and push them in, which is, a design that a part of the design that I didn't know about. And it does make the shoulders look a little bit more streamlined. But the negative is that if you want his arms to be on his sides, then it doesn't work because even though you can push them in when you're articulating the figure and putting them in different poses, if you want him to be standing straight up with his arms down, then the shoulders still pop out and give that ball shoulder look regardless of how you play around with the shoulders. But, anyways, that's minimal. That has nothing to do with it. I felt that I gave each one their good things and their bad things. Now, he did say that I leaned a little bit more towards McFarlane, and he said maybe that's because I want to make points with McFarlane. Trust me, anybody that's followed me or knows me or watches my videos, they know that I want nothing free from McFarlane. I'm not here to look for free figures. I'm not here to look for any kind of working relationship with McFarlane. I'm just here enjoying what I do, collecting, customizing. Hunting is even pretty fun for me out there in the wild. And that's what I'm in it for. Now, if it's hard for you to believe that because of what, bigger YouTubers do or how they talk, that pretty much seems like a personal problem to me. But don't get me involved because I am my own entity. Now, finally, let's let's get into the comment. And the comment was something like, I'll put it up here. Ah, thanks for commenting about the price because I watched the review and it really infuriated me. And that kind of, makes me laugh. The only reason because I get it. He's like passionate about his line or that he likes Mafex or whatever. But I never watch a review. I never see somebody else talk about even a McFarlane figure. And I never feel like I'm infuriated. I just say like, oh, well, he didn't like it. That's up to him. No big deal. Don't ever let all of this stuff is a little bit meaningless. What I mean about that is that there's lots of people in the world that have bigger things to worry about than what line you collect or what character McFarlane decided to make. Oh, it infuriates me that that he made that version of Cyborg. Like, I just don't live my life like that. So that's just a personal thing for me. And I don't understand why people get so crazy if you collect one line and they collect another. There's, everybody is allowed to collect what they want. Now, playing off of that, the last thing I want to talk about, about this subject is that why I don't collect Mafex. And like I said before, that is a lot of different reasons. I don't like the smaller scale anymore. I have moved on from 6 inches or 5 inches. I'm not looking to start collecting Mafex because, of course, they are 5.6 inches or whatever they're scaled at. They're definitely smaller than McFarlane. Now, there is a positive that came out of this whole thing, and that is my custom Nightfall Batman that I made from one of my extra battle damaged Batman. This has become one of my favorite figures. Love posing him with his posable wired cape, the color scheme, everything is awesome about him. And that for me was one of the benefits of leaning more towards buying multiple packs of the Nightfall 2 pack, and that was basically getting an extra accessory of a battle damaged Batman. Of course, with the Mafex, you only get the accessories that he comes with. You don't get an extra figure. If you want to buy a Batman for him to destroy and break, you're gonna have to buy another Mafex figure, and that's going into another $100 figure. And since I no longer really collect 6 inch scale, I'm very happy with just having this version of Nightfall Bane for my complete Bane collection, but I just don't really see myself starting to buy a lot of Mafex. And when you're talking about Mafex and you're talking about the DC universe and DC characters, Mafex definitely makes a lot of Batman characters, really Batman heavy. And as much crap as people talk about McFarlane, that he makes pure Batman, Mafex definitely makes pure Batman. Now, of course, you do have Superman thrown in there and a different character every once in a while, but you're mainly looking at 60-70% of Batman from Mafex, and you're also looking at 2 or 3 figures a year, which I definitely don't have that much time to be trying to fill out my character selection. And just to bring this in, this is just something to add to that topic, and that is that this is one of my favorite McFarlane figures. Doesn't really get a lot of love, but I love posing this guy. If I pick him up, it's definitely a mistake because I will be putting him in running poses, moving the shoulders around. Very, very fun, posable character, and looks really good, although he is not everybody's preferred version of Bart. He is a great looking action figure, and that, of course, is Impulse. Now, the reason I bring him in is because when do you think that Mafex is ever going to do an Impulse figure? If I had to guess, I would tell you guys it's probably going to be 20, maybe 25 years. And I wouldn't even hold my breath because I don't think they will ever come around to making an Impulse figure. So that is one of the reasons why I enjoy my cheap McFarlane $20 multiverse figures, is because you open up your character selection definitely way more than you will ever be able to with Mafex. Just look at all the speedsters that have been made by McFarlane. And not even that, he's really going out there and starting to make some really obscure characters. So, anyways, guys, that's it. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Hopefully, it gives you a little bit of insight into what I think and to why I collect what I collect. But you guys, keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.